morning, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity to be here and speak with you. As everyone before me has said, on this very cold day that we're marking the 40th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Some of you might remember 1973. You might be able to draw a line in the sand about how the world, or maybe even your own life, has changed since then. For others of you, you're probably so young that 1973 sounds like a prehistoric era. I was born in 1979, right here in my home state of New Jersey, just a few years after Roe v. Wade passed through the United States Supreme Court. I grew up in a time when being pro-choice or pro-life seemed like choosing sides in a football game. And, as some may like to believe, I've been granted a beautiful freedom by living my whole life as a woman in a pro-choice world. But I know that that's not true, and that's why I made the choice to stand here in front of you today. My abortion was one of choice. There was no trickery, no misguided judgment or coercion. It was me, a college-educated, 26-year-old woman about to begin graduate school, with a boyfriend of over a year who loved me and supported me in everything. My thoughts at the time were quite selfish. I can't do this right now. This isn't the way I wanted to have a baby. Do I even want to be with this man forever? Looking back, I realized those are things that I should have considered before conception, not after. So I researched my choices, but I had reservations about abortion from a physical standpoint. I was wary of a process which might ruin my chances to have a child when I was finally ready. But when I stumbled upon RU486, also known as medical abortion, suddenly this choice seemed accessible to me. It was inexpensive, it was non-invasive, and I assured myself it was more humane for the baby. Just two pills, and suddenly my period would return and life could go back to normal. It never did. I sat in the clinic that morning waiting for someone to stop me, waiting for a sign from God to tell me I was doing the wrong thing. I tried to convey my uncertainty to the staff, but it was like everyone was on autopilot. The process was so easy, so simple, that it hardly conveyed the gravity of the truth. They watched me take the first pill in the clinic and handed me the next one to be taken at home. But popping that second pill in the eerie silence of our warm home wasn't as easy as it had been in the sterile clinic. Just two pills and life could go back to normal, right? The next few days I sat in the shower, watching life stream down the drain. But it was the next few years that really brought the hurt of our decision to full fruition. The graduate degree that I wanted to pursue instead of motherhood was never finished. Creation wasn't just halted in my womb, my writing suffered as well. And the boyfriend that I wasn't so sure about became my husband. Our decision years earlier haunted our relationship. Neither of us ever forgot our child, and instead became vividly aware that it wasn't just some problem that a procedure could take away. Certain that my lingering heartache wasn't unique, I went back to researching, and I found Project Rachel. The beautiful healing that took place that weekend at Rachel's Vineyard was unimaginable. It was so easy, so simple to return to God's grace that I could hardly believe myself deserving of it. But one of the things I was certain about when we left Rachel's Vineyard was that our child's death could not be in vain. Our experience, our heartache, could not go down in the history books silently, a secret hidden away never to be shared. The truth deserves more than that. Life deserves more than that. And our children, all of our children, deserve more than that. It wasn't until years after I had an abortion that I found out many women I knew also had abortions and were harboring the same feelings of grief, shame, and heartache in some form or another. But no one received the help that was needed when it was needed because no one spoke up. And it was then that I realized the next generation coming up behind me, doomed to repeat the same legacy of silence, to perpetuate the same culture of death in the name of choice. And it was then that I realized the time for me to speak up is now. In October, I became the New Jersey Regional Coordinator for the Silent No More Awareness Campaign It's a nationwide effort to make the public aware of the devastation that abortion brings to women, to men, and to their families. I'm hoping to foster an uplifting and creative ministry here in New Jersey that will increase awareness of the reality about abortion, promote healing, and save lives. Last week, a woman came up to me after I shared my story up in Jersey City, and she whispered to me, "You're one of the lucky ones." And she's right. For each of the millions of children that have been lost to abortion, there is a woman, a mother. There is a man, a father, that has also been lost. Some of us have been able to escape the denial of death and move on to healing, but others, suffering in the silence of their own hearts, never escape. And it is for them, to them, that I speak today. I know it might not happen immediately, and I know that there are those out there who disagree with me, who say that the very fact that I was able to have an abortion and go on to regret it is just an example of my own freedom of choice. I know there are women out there who have had abortions and are speaking out, just as I am, to say that it's fine. And if you would have asked me a few years after my own abortion, I probably would have told you the same thing. But the truth of the matter is, whether it's 4 days, 4 months, or 40 years later, we're all eventually going to come to the same conclusion. Because there is no philosophical answer, no scientific justification, no choice when it comes to life. Life is just life, and life begins when it begins. We are not in charge of it. And if you don't take my word for it when it comes to human life, go outside this spring and try to convince a tree that the strange-looking nubs on its branches are not its own leaves about to bloom. The silence around abortion must stop. So let's talk. I invite you to speak with me today, and I challenge you to speak with others after we leave here today. Maybe you have your own story to share, or maybe you'll have the opportunity to help someone tell theirs. Either way, beginning this conversation about abortion, the truth of abortion, is the only way we will finally and truly bring it to an end. Thank you for your time and for listening with open hearts. God bless.